Listen, my friends, draw nearer to the fire. Let the warmth touch your skin, and let the rhythm of the drums in the distance remind you that stories are not merely words. They are breath. They are blood. They are the paths the ancestors left for us to walk. This night, under the wide sky of Tet where the stars shine like scattered millet on a mat, I will tell you a story that was once whispered with fear, but now must be spoken with courage. It is the story of a man called Nyamapanda, his wife Chikondi, whose name itself was love, and their firstborn son, whose life became a lesson for us all. This story does not belong only to the past, no. It stretches its arms across time. It touches your life, and the life of the one sitting beside you. For the truth it carries is as old as the rivers, as wide as the plains, and as deep as the silence between drumbeats. Nyamapanda was a man whose name meant the one with a well-shaped head. Among the Nyungwe people of Mozambique, a name is not just a sound. It is a prophecy, a mirror of the spirit, a reminder of what one carries into this world. And so people looked at Nyamapanda and said, yes, here's a man who is upright, steady, a man whose thoughts are not crooked, a man born to uphold the traditions of his people. His family was respected. They kept cattle whose bells rang like soft music in the evening. They were known for discipline, for sons who did not wander, for daughters who did not shame the family name. And so, when the time came for Nyamapanda to take a wife, the elders chose carefully. In those days, children did not always choose their own love. The heart was often set aside, and the decision was woven like a basket by parents, uncles, aunts, all those who guarded the honor of a family. The girl chosen was Chikondi. Her very name meant love, though her life would teach her love's hardest path. She was known as well-behaved, obedient, a good cook, a skilled hand in the home. She had been raised to bow her head, to serve without complaint, to walk like water, soft, but always flowing where she was guided. And so the marriage was arranged. There were songs, drums, dances that shook the dust into the air. Goats were slaughtered, beer was poured, and the voices of women rose like birds at dawn. The ancestors were called to witness. Two families became one, and Nyamapanda and Chikondi were bound by vows not of their own making, but of tradition's heavy hand. Time passed, and soon the whispers of women said, her womb is stirring. The village rejoiced, for the first child is not only for the couple, it is for the community, for the ancestors who must return, for the spirits who wait in the shadows to see which of them will be born again. Preparations began before the child even took its first breath. The men spoke of drums, the women of songs and dances, the elders of rituals to welcome new life. When a child is born, the whole village is pregnant with expectation. The day arrived heavy with clouds. The midwife, a woman with hair white as ashes and hands steady as carved wood, entered the hut of Nyamapanda and Chikondi. She carried herbs, cloths, whispered prayers, and the weight of generations of women who had caught life in their hands. Outside, the village waited. The air was thick with tension. Children chased each other in the dust, but the adults stood still, listening to the cries of Chikondi from within. Time moved like a slow drumbeat, groans, moans, the rhythm of struggle, and then a cry, thin, sharp, defiant. The midwife stepped to the doorway and shouted in a voice that carried across huts. Abhalamwamuna, it is a boy. The people erupted. Laughter, clapping, ululations that pierced the sky. Men slapped each other's backs. Women began to sing. Messengers ran to neighbors. A son has been born. Drums were lifted, goats prepared for slaughter. But inside that hut, a different silence settled. The midwife looked at the baby, and her heart grew heavy. The child's skin was pale, pale as the river sand under noon sun. His hair was soft and light, unlike the dark coils of his people. His eyes blinked strangely, searching the world with a gaze too bright. The midwife's face grew stern. Chikondi, though exhausted, saw it. She whispered, "What is it? Is my baby well?" The midwife sighed. "My daughter, your child is albino. Do you know what this means?" Chikondi's tired eyes narrowed. "Tell me." The midwife's voice dropped low, heavy with fear. "It means he will not live. The elders will say he is cursed, that he is a punishment sent by God, that his body parts hold power for those who walk in darkness. They will kill him, Chikondi. They will demand it. They will not let this child remain." Chikondi felt tears burn her eyes, but she held the baby to her breast, felt his mouth searching, his tiny fingers curling, and she said, with a voice that was weak but fierce, "All living things are created by God, and God makes nothing but his love. This is my child. He will live." The midwife shook her head. "If you keep him, you will lose your husband, your family, your place in this village. You will carry danger wherever you go. Do you understand? This child is a death sentence for you too." But Chikondi, even in her weakness, even in her bleeding, said, "Then help me hide him." My friends, this is the first lesson of the story. A mother's love is a fire that cannot be quenched, not by fear, not by law, not even by death. The midwife, torn between duty and compassion, agreed. She went to the elders and persuaded them, "Do not kill the child. Leave him to the forest. Let the spirits decide. Let God claim what is his." And so it was decided. The people believed they were granting mercy, but in truth, they were opening the door for destiny to walk in. The midwife carried the baby into the forest, with one of the village guardians by her side. She hung around his neck a small amulet, woven from herbs and bone, whispered over with prayers. She searched for a place hidden yet strong, and found a cave beneath a great rock, a place where even the sun hesitated to shine. "There," she said. "Here the spirits will find him. Here, if God wills, he will remain safe until his command is given." They laid the baby down. His cry echoed against stone walls, but soon was swallowed by the forest. They returned, and silence swallowed the truth. When the midwife returned to the village, she washed her hands at the pot outside, but no amount of water could wash the weight from her spirit. She stepped back into the hut where the young mother lay. The air was thick with grief, the kind that has no sound, only breathing. She sat beside the young woman and placed a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Child," she whispered, "your son is in God's hands now. The spirits of the forest will watch over him. Do not fear." Chikondi's breath shuddered out of her chest. "Tell me," she begged. "You promised to help. You promised we would not abandon him." The midwife looked toward the doorway, making sure no one lingered outside. Her voice dropped lower, thin as smoke. "I should not tell you," she said. "If anyone knows you visit him, if anyone even suspects, both of us will be killed. The elders will not forgive such defiance." "I don't care," Chikondi said, clutching the midwife's hands with desperate strength. "He is my child, my blood. I cannot breathe knowing he is alone. Please, tell me where he is." The midwife's resolve wavered. A mother's grief is a blade, sharp enough to cut through silence, through fear, through tradition itself. She glanced once more toward the huts outside, then leaned so close her lips almost touched Chikondi's ear. "In the deep forest," she murmured, "I carried him with one of the guardians. I tied an amulet around his neck, herbs, bone, and prayers. We walked past the tall grasses beyond the termite mounds until we found a cave hidden beneath a great rock. A place where the sunlight barely enters. That is where he lies." Chikondi closed her eyes as tears streamed down her cheeks. The midwife gripped her wrists, her own eyes wet. "You must go unseen. Do you hear me? No footsteps in the open paths. No noise. No one can know you are feeding him, holding him, loving him. If they discover your visits, they will take him from this world. And you as well. Chikondi nodded, swallowing the fear burning in her throat. I will be careful, she whispered. I would die before letting harm come to him. The midwife cupped her face gently, then go only at dusk. When women go to fetch water, slip away. Follow the narrow path behind the old mango tree. Move quickly and return before the moon rises. She paused, voice trembling. And Chikondi, swear again you will not reveal that I told you. I swear, the mother breathed. By the ancestors. By my son's life. Only then did the midwife release her hands. And that very evening, like a shadow breaking away from the crowd, Chikondi slipped into the forest, alone, fearless, guided only by love, to find her hidden child. She reached the cave, and there her child waited. She nursed him in secret. She sang songs only he would hear. Lullabies about rivers, about moonlight, about love stronger than fear. She named him Patso. His very name meant gift. Time passed. Days folded into weeks, weeks into months. The boy grew, his skin still pale, his hair still light, his spirit still guarded by the amulet at his chest. He laughed at leaves, chased after lizards, danced with shadows. The forest became his cradle, the spirits his unseen guardians. Dear listener, listen. Here is another truth. The forest does not reject the seed. It makes a place for all things to grow. Fatso grew like a strange flower in hidden soil. His tongue was slow to form words, for he spoke mostly with silence, with laughter, with eyes. But his spirit was alive, fed by his mother's secret love, fed by the whispers of ancestors who watched from beyond. One day, when he was still small, a traveler passed through the forest. He was a man of middle years, his hair touched with gray, his eyes deep with journeys. He saw the child playing among roots and rocks, and he stopped, struck with wonder. What is your name, little one? He asked. The boy struggled, but managed to say, Mfatso. My mother calls me Mfatso. The man smiled. Do you know what that means? It means gift. You are a gift from above. The boy tilted his head, as though tasting the word. The man's heart stirred. He knew at once this was no ordinary child. He saw the loneliness in the boy's eyes, the wildness of a child raised more by trees than by people. And he guessed the hidden story. He followed the child quietly, and so witnessed the moment when Chikondi arrived. He saw the embrace, the tears, the songs whispered in secret, and he stepped forward. Mother, he said softly, do not fear. I see your secret, and I see your love. Let me help. In my village, far from here, albinism is not a curse. It is a rare blessing from the gods. If you allow me, I will raise him where he will be safe and honored. Chikondi trembled. Her heart ached at the thought of giving her child away, yet swelled at the hope of his survival. Promise me, she said, that I will know where he lives, and that I may see him sometimes. The man bowed. It shall be so. And so the boy was taken to a new life. In that village, he was not feared, but revered. His pale skin was seen as a sign of spirit, his presence a gift from the unseen world. He was taught songs, drums, stories of ancestors. He grew strong, his voice deep and rich, until it carried power that moved hearts like water over stones. Mfatso became known as a singer, a voice that healed sorrows, a voice that lifted burdens. Fame came to him, and with fame, wealth. But he did not grow proud. He remembered the cave, the forest, the mother who risked everything. When he was grown, he returned to the land of his birth. He stood before the very people who had once called for his death. He sang, not of anger, not of revenge, but of forgiveness, of love, of the blindness of fear. His father wept, his people wept. Schools were built with his wealth, so that children might learn, so that ignorance might die, so that no child again would be cursed for difference. And Chikondi, his mother, stood proud, her eyes filled with tears, tears of sorrow past, tears of joy present. Now listen well, my friends. Lean closer to the flames, for the warmth you feel now is not only from the fire, but from the truth carried in this tale. Here is the heart of the story, the marrow, the breath beneath the words. What the world rejects, God may crown with blessing. What fear tries to bury, love can resurrect. And what ignorance calls a curse, destiny may call a gift. Remember this, the child you push away may one day be the very one who returns to lift you. The life you underestimate may rise higher than the tallest mountain. The path you think leads to shame may, in another season, bloom with purpose. For every human being, every child, every mother, every father, carries in their chest a spark placed there by hands older than the stars. And no man, no elder, no tradition, no fear, has the power to erase what the Creator himself has written. Look again at Mfatso's journey. He began in shadows, yet walked toward light. He was hidden in a cave, yet his voice reached nations. He was born into rejection, yet returned carrying healing. He had every reason to hate, but chose instead to love. And in doing so, he broke the chain that ignorance had forged for generations. My friends, this is not just a tale of a boy who lived. It is a reminder of the strength that lives in you. When the world tells you that you are less, rise. When fear whispers that you do not belong, stand. When darkness tries to define you, shine. For the Creator does not give anyone a life empty of purpose. Every breath has meaning. Every struggle shapes the spirit. Every difference is a doorway to destiny. So hear me well. Do not mock what you do not understand. Do not fear what you cannot explain. And do not judge a life whose story is still being written. For wisdom grows slowly, like a tree from a seed. And the seeds of today become the forests of tomorrow. This is the story of Mfatso, the child who was abandoned, yet chosen. The son who was feared, yet beloved. The gift who became a giver. Carry it in your hearts. Share it with your companions on the road. Let it reshape the way you look at others, and the way you look at yourself. And until we meet again by the fire, walk slowly, walk wisely, walk with compassion, live deeply, love fiercely, and let your heart beat its true rhythm.